All right, guys, thanks for being here for our lunch and learn, our daily lunch and learn. We are going strong and we have had some great people on and we're continuing that conversation with Rebecca. Rebecca, do I pronounce your last name Donatelli?
Yes,
All right.
Donatelli. Yeah.
Rebecca Donatelli from Ohio, 30 under 30 in 2019. Congratulations on that awesome accomplishment. So, Rebecca, tell us about yourself. Who is Rebecca? Where does she work? Where did she come from? What did she do prior to real estate?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm Rebecca Donatelli. I like to joke that I'm the OG because there is another Rebecca Donatelli in my market.
Oh,
So
there is.
we won't talk about that. But no, I've been in real estate. Actually, I just realized it'll be 5 years next month, which it doesn't feel like 5 years. It feels like more
Wow.
like 2 or 3.
You've had some serious success, Rebecca, in 5 years, huh?
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been busy, for sure. So I can't believe it. It's already been 5 years. I have a team, the Rebecca Donatelli team, with McDowell. Sorry, sorry, office assistant.
Yeah.
With McDowell Homes Real Estate Services, again here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
My team, we're in the top 5% of agents here in Northeast Ohio.
Awesome.
And pretty much a majority of my business has been built through social media, specifically Instagram. Before I got into real estate, I went to college to be a high school math teacher. And
Okay.
I love math. I'm a complete math dork. Calc 3 was my jam. But teaching math was just not my thing. So after I graduated college, I took a job as an account manager for an insurance company. And I
Okay.
was there for not even 6 months, hated it. I was out. And so my mom actually suggested I get into real estate. I had
Okay.
never even thought twice about it. The extent of my real estate knowledge was from HGTV. So you can imagine I really didn't have
Yeah.
a lot of knowledge about real estate.
Just some shows. I get
Just
it.
some shows, right? And, I knew what open concept was, and that was kind of the extent of it. But my mom is my best friend. She knows me very, very well. And she said, I think you might really enjoy real estate. So she connected me with my broker, who I've been with since I got my license. And that was kind of it.
That was
So
it, huh? So okay,
yeah.
so math. You call yourself a math. You are a math wizard, right? So you were going to be a math teacher. There's a lot of that as far as people who are either teachers or were going to become teachers. Actually, George Tully yesterday had an education background as well. So why do you think what do you think that correlation is? Have you ever thought about that? What do you think that correlation is between teaching and real estate?
I have thought about it because so many people I know also were on the same path where they either were considering teaching and decided to go a different route, aka real estate, or they did get into teaching and just decided, to get out of it. And I never actually got into it, but I know a lot of people. It's interesting because they're two obviously very different fields. Um,
Hmm.
but I think the similarities between the two are obviously, you have to be a people person for both. You have to have a lot of patience for both, I think. So they do share some similarities as far as I think the traits that
Yeah.
you have to have for both jobs, just two
Right.
different types of fields. With teaching, you have a set schedule. You're off during the summertime. Real estate, you're on, sometimes 24/7. So you definitely have a lot of differences there. But I think as far as the personality traits between the two are very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Rebecca, yesterday, George said the same thing you said is patience, right? Like, having patience and being able to listen, right? So very, very similar. So Rebecca, before
Yeah.
we dive into the topic here a little bit, tell us a little bit about your team structure. You said you have a team. What does that look like? When did you build a team? How many transactions or what sort of volume are you guys doing?
Yeah. So I launched my team. I got licensed at the beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June of 2015. I
Okay.
launched my team in 2017, right around the same time, like summertime of 2017. I decided
So Rebecca,
to launch
you were
my
doing
team.
it solo, right? You were doing it solo from 2015 to 2017?
Correct. Yeah. So I was
Okay,
just on
got it.
my own for the first 2 years. Yeah. Um, and then I decided to start the team. I really decided to start my team because I was just honestly overwhelmed with the amount of business that I was trying to handle at one time. And I was fearful that I was going to compromise my customer service to try to juggle too many transactions. And I really didn't want to do that. So I hired basically out of desperation. My first hire did not work out at all. I didn't even really try to get to know him or see if he, was going to work well with what I wanted, the agent to look like, as far as someone that was able to kind of carry my brand and things like that. But it was a really good learning experience for me, and kind of showed me what I was looking for as far as an agent goes. I will say, if I could do it over again, I would start, and this is actually advice that Tommy Choi gave me, which is, if I could do it over again, I would hire an admin first rather than an agent. I think, giving some of that busy work and things that can take that off my plate would have been really, really helpful for me, versus just bringing on an agent to take some of the sales. So doing it again, I would definitely probably, do it that way. Now I do have an admin. I just hired another agent that's coming on next month. She's going to be brand new. Last year we did close to, last year was 2019. Oh God, I don't even know. At the end of 2018, we were close to 50 transactions. Last year, yeah, it was a good year. Last year we were not far off of that. Last year was a little bit of a weird year for me. I went through some personal things. So it was a little bit of a weird year. This year, even with everything going on, we're slammed right now. It's very, very busy. So this year, we're hoping to do maybe closer to 75.
Congratulations. We're polling for you. And anyone that has any referrals in the Cleveland area, will be sure to send them your way. All right.
Awesome. I love it.
All right. So Rebecca, you got into the business 5 years ago. Your mom said, hey, you should look into real estate. What was your mindset? How did you approach your mind to build a business to where you've gotten it? How have you, and how has that evolved?
Yeah. When I even thought about it, it terrified me. The commission terrified me. Getting into a whole new field totally terrified me. I got really lucky getting in the hands with my broker, Kayleen. She's just amazing. She's such a rock star, and she really trained me to kind of start off with a bang. I was rookie of the year my first year. My first year I had between 24, 25 or 26 transactions, somewhere along that line. So it was a good first year, but I was realizing towards the end of that first year that I was really needing to figure out some other way to really stand out if I was going to make this a long-term and successful career for me. I couldn't just rely on, charming the buyer or the seller to, work with me. I really needed to figure something out. And I was going to these listing appointments and buyer consultations up against agents that have been around for 20 plus years. They had a huge book of business behind them. They had a huge sphere. When I got into real estate, I didn't know any of the realtors, and I didn't have any family or friends in the business. I literally knew nobody. I didn't have anyone lined up to buy or sell. So I really had to pound the pavement and figure it out. So that's kind of where my Instagram and social media platforms kind of came into play for me. I started my real estate Instagram account just a year into my business. I had no intention of making it any sort of real business platform or way to build my brand. It was more so a hobby when I started. Then when I started realizing the engagement I was getting, the followers I was getting, I was like, this is kind of what I've been looking for, to really build a brand and stand out quickly. And so I leveraged that. When I wasn't selling, I was spending time building relationships, kind of virtually meeting people through Instagram. And that's where, my business came from, and my brand kind of was able to be built.
So you kind of just stumbled on, it was kind of just like right. I mean, social media is just part of life now, right? But you all of a sudden started recognizing that, wait a minute, this can work for business.
Totally. Yeah. It really just kind of happened. Like I said, I love photography. I love real estate. So that I was able to kind of combine those two on Instagram, but I never had any intention of it happening. It kind of just happened. And then I really started leveraging it purposely. So.
Okay. So talk to us about your strategy. Okay. So it's fair to say, right, it's coming from you that a lot of your business and a lot of your branding is coming from Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. Is it just Instagram, or is it all social media?
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Most of it really is from Instagram. My Facebook, I do, marketing and things like there too, but I have two different audiences, I guess I would say, between the two platforms. Facebook is more so a lot of my realtor friends are on there, a lot of people that I already know. Instagram is where I'm able to meet new people and connect a little bit more. I have a broader reach on Instagram. So I have two different audiences, so I market a little bit differently on the two different platforms.
Yeah.
But a majority of it is, actually almost all of it is Instagram.
That is, Rebecca, that is so fascinating for me to hear, at least. Okay. That there's actually two different audiences on these two different social platforms. So when did you realize that? When did you recognize that like, wait a minute, there's two different approaches to these two different vehicles that I'm using?
Honestly, it really didn't take very long for me to realize kind of the differences. I was noticing that I was getting more engagement from just people that I didn't already know pretty instantly on Instagram versus Facebook, where it was, if I was getting friend requests, they were maybe, other realtors that I had mutual friends with,
Right.
that I was still able to newly connect with, but I already had some type of connection with. With
Okay.
Instagram, it was more so just, anybody. Like a lot of food bloggers here in Cleveland. In fact, one of the biggest food bloggers here is one of my clients now.
Okay.
Or just, anybody really. And so I kind of realized that pretty quickly. Some of my content overlaps between the two platforms. It really just depends on what it is. But a
Mhm.
majority of it is on Instagram, and I have, like I said, a broader reach there.
All right, Rebecca. So let's focus on Instagram first. We will go to Facebook, but let's focus on Instagram first. What's your strategy? What is Rebecca's strategy, and walk us through how it started and what it really kind of catapulted into?
Yeah. So when I started the account, I was just sharing all kinds of, house type content, listings and solds, and here's an inspection, and here's a nice looking kitchen. And I noticed that when I was posting those types of things, my engagement levels were lower, as opposed to when I would post something that was a little bit more personal, that maybe didn't have to do with real estate, or maybe it did have to do with real estate, but it wasn't just houses. I think on social, if they know you're a realtor, they expect you to be selling houses, but that doesn't tell them who you are as a person. So I tried to start sharing things that were not expected, like more behind the scenes type stuff that I was doing, more personal things that really allowed my followers to get to know me and trust me, so that they felt comfortable enough reaching out to me before they even knew me. So now I really try to post a lot of the more personal stuff. Anyone that knows me knows that I love coffee. I live on it. If you go to my profile, you can easily see that. In fact, I just purchased an espresso machine, and it is the best purchase I've ever made. So
That's part of the tools to the business. Okay, got it.
yeah. So I try to share that, and that for me has really helped. In fact, the coffee's become such a big part of my brand that I've had realtors around the country who will post a picture of coffee, and I've never met them, and they'll tag me in it, kind of
Nice.
me being top of mind, right? When they take a picture of coffee. I've had this happen twice now, where I've gone to a local coffee shop here in Cleveland, and the barista's like, oh my God, I know you. I follow you on Instagram. I know that you love coffee, and,
Right.
and then they'll make you a coffee. So I've kind of leveraged that as a little bit part of my brand, so that people can recognize me a little bit more.
As funny as it is, but also as true it is, it's almost like Tommy Choi in Chicago restaurants, right? Like going outside, right? Everybody relates Tommy to being out for dinner every night, which he's probably going a little crazy right now, but sort of the same thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
I know. I did see he made an awesome looking steak last night, though. So.
Yeah. See, you got that.
Yeah.
All right. So Rebecca, let's walk through this journey a little bit. So at first it was all real estate, right? It was like real estate posting. Then you started being more authentic to who you are. What would you tell people on this call and are listening to this recording? If I'm a newer agent, or if I'm a veteran agent and I've never used social media, what would you recommend my strategy being?
Yeah, I would say if you're just getting started, and I'm going to answer this while we're chatting, because I see someone asked what my Instagram profile was. I'm just going to throw it in here really quick. But I would say if you're just getting started, or maybe you're already on there, but you're not seeing any sort of return as far as getting leads or building your brand, I would really try to focus on just making consistent posting, posting consistently. I'm usually posting on my feed 3 to 4 times a week, and then I'm on my Instagram story every single day, so that I can kind of stay top of mind. People can constantly see what I'm up to, and really try to share more about yourself. A perfect example, last year I launched a speaking consulting business, RD Seminars and Consulting. And so I travel around the country, not right now, obviously, but on a normal day, I would travel around and help realtors everywhere. And I also work one-on-one with them to help them build their brands on Instagram. And one of my clients is a $50 million producer here in Ohio. She's about an hour and a half away from me. And I said, send me your profile. Let me take a look at it so that I can kind of help you, leverage whatever it is that you're doing. And so she sent me her profile, and I looked through it, and there was not a single photo of her face anywhere on the profile. And I said, Holly, I don't know what you even look like. Why should I, as the consumer, feel comfortable reaching out to you when I can't even put a face to a name, right? Like, there's no way for me to build trust in you. And frankly, most people don't care about all those listings. They don't care about the sales. They want to get to know who you are. And so what I recommend to people, if you're getting on there, whether you're just starting or trying to build an existing profile, is just share content regularly that people can relate to who you are as a person, whether you also love coffee or maybe your kids are your thing. I tell people, take advantage of your kids. Like, people love, kind of seeing your family, your pets, something that's personal to you, but also throwing in that real estate component, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Almost. Do you have a system to that, Rebecca? Of like, do you say to yourself like, hey, obviously we don't want you to give all your secrets, but like, do you say like, hey, on certain days I'm going to do certain things, or is it just when it comes to you and you're feeling it, you just kind of throw stuff out there?
Yeah. I'm one of those people that don't follow a schedule. I know a lot of realtors that will plan maybe a month's worth of posts in advance, and I'm just not that person. The reason is because every single day is totally different. And one thing about my profile is that everything is very authentic. I take all the photos. It's whatever's happening in that moment that I feel is important enough for my followers and my friends to see. So I don't like planning. I'm a big schedule person as far as like my actual work schedule and travel and things like that. But as far as the content and sharing things, I just share it as it comes. If I have a day where nothing exciting happened enough for me to share something, I'm not going to share anything. But if I had a day where something great happened that I feel like people can relate to that content, I'm going to throw it out there. But I know some people that like to follow a schedule. I'm just not one of them.
Got it. What kind of return have you seen on this? As far as, you're on pace, you said, to do 75 transactions, right? Can you quantify this to see how many of them actually come from what you're doing on social media or Instagram?
I do track all my sales. Honestly, over 80% of my business comes from social.
Got it. North of 50 transactions this year. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And in fact, I just shared a post, I think it was last week. I'm like losing track of the days with this quarantine, but it was in the vicinity of the last week and a half. I shared a post that in the last 30 days from that post, I had gotten 7 referrals from agents nationwide, and 5 of them were just from Instagram. In fact, one of them.
How are they? Go ahead, Rebecca. One of them what?
No, go ahead. And then I'll share.
No, I was going to say, how are they, when you say I've gotten, X amount of referrals, are they sending them to you via Instagram, or are they just reaching out to you directly? Do they have your phone number? Is it happening right there on the platform?
A lot of it's happening right on the platform. So I have a business profile. My account is set up as a business profile. So I added my email and my phone number directly, so you can contact me directly. To be completely blunt and honest, the only reason I changed it from just a regular profile to a business profile is because this other Rebecca Donatelli got her license up the street from me. She was getting pre-approvals of mine. She was getting confidential emails about clients. And so I'm like, Instagram is my thing. If people want to reach out to me, it needs to be the right one, right? So that was the reason that I changed it. But it's a really great, way for you to get emails directly, phone calls directly. So some of the agents will go to my profile and click contact and send me an email. Others will just direct message me through the platform.
Yeah.
For example, I did a baking challenge with one of my realtor friends from another state, and I posted on my Instagram story just a video of me saying, hey, if anyone wants to hop in on this baking challenge with us, come on in. I'm making these awesome espresso hazelnut shortbread cookies. And I shared little pictures of them. And a realtor out of the West Coast tagged me. She was making this awesome like chocolate lava thing. It put my cookies to shame. And she tagged me and she said, I love, connecting with realtors. Here's my friend in Northeast Ohio. I've never met her before. And one of her friends saw it and said, oh my God, I'm actually looking for a realtor in Northeast Ohio. I need to buy 3 investment properties. Can you hook me up? And so she put me in contact with her friend. I'm now selling in 3 houses, just from a baking challenge that I posted on my Instagram story maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So it's anything from, it's any type of way people can reach out to you, whether it's email, phone, or on the platform.
That was going to be my next question. I'm glad that kind of got into this. As far as content is concerned, it sounds like you're just genuine, you're consistent and things like that. Have you seen any other post or any other like valuable content be more beneficial than others? Like, do you track it where, hey, the real estate posts only get X amount of looks on it, and then when you're yourself, it's this? And give us some examples, if you wouldn't mind, of some of the best, posts that you've had, or is it just consistency?
I think it's definitely a combination of both. I don't have a necessarily like specific tracking system, but I do look to see which posts get more engagement than others, because I do want to know where people have more interest. And so that's why I kind of started to tweak what my content was looking like. And now, honestly, if you go on my profile, you'll almost never see a sold property. I do share my listings just for that my sellers can have that exposure through social, but I really don't share a lot of that because people expect that of me. They expect me to have sales. They want to get to know me, and I want them to feel like they can trust me before they even reach out to me. So I would share anything that's, personal to you. Tommy's awesome with this, by looking at his profile, he likes his sneakers and he likes Pearl Jam, and and those are the types of things that you want to share that will connect people better to you. I post a lot about Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I'm diehard Cleveland. And if you see me out there, that if you reach out to me, I can not only help you with real estate, but I can also help you find the best spots in Cleveland. You can see that just from my content that I share. So I think it's important to kind of and some people have a hard time taking those walls down of really showing more of their personal side, because they think people expect just real estate. But it's actually the opposite, in my opinion. People connect more. Like, I run a lot outside all the time, so I'll share my running posts. I get a lot more engagement on those versus just a picture of a house or a listing.
Yeah.
So definitely more of the
it's relatable.
stuff.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
relatable. The chat room's blowing up here, so I'm going to get to these questions, but I have 2 questions before we go there.
Okay.
So one thing, you mentioned listings. Is there when you meet with your sellers or your buyers, do you tell them about your Instagram strategy? Is it part of the process?
It's a part of all my presentations. It's in my buyer presentation and it's in my listing presentation, because I want my clients to know the reach that I have. With the buyers, it might not be as critical, but with the sellers, it's huge because they can see the reach that I have. I have contacts, developer contacts, builder contacts that I work with, who I've connected with through Instagram, that I've worked on these relationships with for a couple of years. And now finally, some of them are giving me an opportunity to work with them just by what they can see that I've done on social. So I think it's really important to share that reach when you're meeting with buyers and sellers. That is a huge part of my marketing strategy, is just showing them, because a lot of them I know might be meeting with people that have been around 4 or 5 times as long as I have. I've only been in the business for 5 years. And so I want them to understand that they might have been in the business a lot longer, but I have a really, really big reach, not only in Cleveland, but nationally. I have a big social presence, and I think that's really important for them to understand. So totally, totally important to share that.
So guys, I will go to the chat room after this question. So Rebecca, I was fortunate enough to interview, actually his name's Jimmy Rex out of Utah. He is selling over 450 homes a year. Okay.
Wow.
And he said exactly he said 80% of my business is Instagram.
That's awesome.
So, he's built this up. He's probably done it a little bit long. He's done it longer than you, but he's built this up, right? So where do you see this going? Is this the new platform? Like if you were to say, hey, in 5 years, my business is going to still be 80% Instagram. Is it the same tactics? Where do you see this going?
Honestly, I see it being kind of the same maybe 5 years from now that it is. Everyone's on there. Everyone's constantly getting on there. It allows me to limit the amount of money I'm spending on marketing elsewhere because most of my business is focused on Instagram, and I did one Instagram ad for $30, and I joked that I could have spent the money better at Starbucks because it just didn't, for me, it didn't work. I know agents that kill it with the ads. That's just not something that I like to do, but I do down the road see this definitely being where even more realtors, and that's why I love teaching about it, and helping other realtors kind of get on there and share their presence, because everyone's on there. People are constantly getting on there. They're looking for resources. They're looking for help. And that's where a lot of them are going. So I would say, I suggest that everyone just get started now, because I think down the road, even more people are going to be on there looking for help.
Yeah. I mean, Rebecca, I've been selling real estate since 2001. And if somebody told me, hey, in 20 years from now, people are going to be selling 75 or 400 homes off of social media, Instagram, I would have told them they were, I'm like, you're crazy, but that's just what's happening. So, hey, you might have answered this. I want to make sure that Sarah Brondike, she's a Chicago agent as well, gets the answer to this. So because of the other Rebecca Donatelli, we know you do have two accounts, but do you have a separate business account and a personal account?
Yeah, so I do have a separate personal account. To be honest, I really don't utilize it that much. But occasionally I'll post on there. It's a private account. My real estate one is public. If you are on Instagram for real estate, I highly, highly recommend making it public. You can't utilize hashtags if it's private. It's hard for people to search you. It really limits the exposure that you're going to get. But I would say you should have two if you like to post things that are really personal. For safety reasons and things like that. I think it's important to separate that, but also you should be sharing some of that personal stuff on your business account. So for me, I do have a separate one, but to be honest, I really don't use it. Everything that I share is just on my business account that I put on here.
And Rebecca, if you don't mind me asking this, just so for clarity, what would you qualify as really personal? Like what's an example of that?
I think that's different for everyone. I'm really mindful as far as safety. I have run into issues before, where I don't do open houses alone. If I go to a coffee shop, I don't tag the location until after I've already left that coffee shop. So, I'm very mindful about that. I don't have kids, so and there's nothing wrong with sharing kids. Like I said, take advantage of them. People love that. But be careful about how much you're sharing. If your kids are at the park at 123 Main Street at 5 o'clock on Sunday, those are types of things that you might want to be mindful of. But it's different for everyone. The location. Yeah.
Those are great tips, Rebecca. Like the fact that you leave and then tag yourself. So that's awesome. I'm glad you're being safe. Alex here has asked, what do you think the biggest difference is between marketing on Facebook versus Instagram? So we were going to kind of go there anyway. So let's go there now. You said that most of your business is done through Instagram, but you do have a different profile, or you do have a different strategy with Facebook. So what's the biggest difference in that?
Yeah, there are two different platforms. You have two different capabilities on both. For me personally, it's two different audiences. So, some of the content that I think is fun to share on Instagram, especially the stuff on my Instagram stories. I'm on my stories every day. I like people to see kind of what I'm up to throughout the day. I typically almost never share that type of thing on Facebook. Facebook, most of my friends are realtors around the country. I know that a lot of them are going to be really great referral resources. So I might post things that I know would be beneficial to maybe get more referrals on the Facebook side of things. And I also have a lot of friends and family on Facebook that are more active on Facebook than they are on their Instagram. So I might share more even more personal stuff on the Facebook versus the Instagram. I know some people that find a lot more success with Facebook. Maybe they have more friends on there, maybe they have a bigger reach. It just so happened that Instagram, kind of ended up working out for me. And like I said, I'm much more active on my Instagram than I am on my Facebook. But it really just depends on what's important to you. There's not a right or wrong answer to that question, I don't think. It's just what's important to you in your business. There are some realtors that have a lot of success just sharing listings in real estate, and maybe that really does work for them. It doesn't work for me, but maybe it works for them. And so maybe if they're doing that, one of the platforms works better than the other. It's just whatever is most important to you, I think.
Got it. Ethan gave some clarity on the business profile, so that's great as well. Can I assume Ethan works with you guys? Does Ethan work with you? Ethan, the MCR?
With
No?
me? No.
All right. He gave some clarity. So Meg is in our office. She's asking, is most of the business that comes from Instagram referrals, right? Is it referrals? Is it past clients? Is it referrals from other agents? What are you seeing from Instagram?
A majority are referrals from other agents. But a lot of them are also just people that I connect with locally, or maybe people that follow me that are moving to Cleveland. I got a new client maybe 2 weeks ago now that reached out to me. She emailed me from my Instagram, and she said that she'd been following me for a while. Her and her husband are living with her mother, and they're over living with the mother, and they need to buy something. And she said that she'd been following me for a while and didn't even want to interview any of their agents because she kind of felt like she already knew me, trusted me. And I just got her under contract. So she's not another agent. She's just a local, someone that's locally here. But a majority of them are referrals from other agents. I have a buyer under contract right now who was a referral from an agent I know out of Virginia. Our friend Harrison Beecher, who's on the advisory board, just gave me a referral. He's out of DC. So it's mostly referrals, but also a lot of connections I'm making locally, which is why I encourage you to follow like local food bloggers, local businesses, like any local celebrities. We don't have a lot of local celebrities in Cleveland, but the ones that we do have, I encourage you to follow them because especially the local businesses, if you tag them, they'll share your content sometimes, and then their followers can see you and, get more exposure that way. So.
Got it. Jess from our office gave a shout out. I think maybe her cousin went to the same high school you went to or something. I don't know, on the chat room there. So.
Solon. I didn't go to high school there, but my office is in Solon.
Oh, got it. Okay, awesome. All right, so Rebecca, you teach on this. You go around nationally and teach this. Is your teaching pretty? Is it like a framework? Is it to the individual? If I were to say, hey, Rebecca, I would love for you to teach me on this. I'm old school. I'm not on it as much as I should be. Are you going to customize my plan for me, or is it, hey, here's the framework of it?
Yeah. So when I typically travel, I'm usually doing a presentation for a large group. It's usually for maybe another realtor association or something along those lines. I've done a couple NAR Tech Edge events before. But if I'm doing the one-on-one consulting, especially if it's someone that's not local, what we'll do is typically a Zoom call, and it's very tailored towards that specific person. So I tailor it to whatever works for them. Maybe they're just getting started and they need help even building the profile, or maybe they're already on there, but they haven't had any luck and they need help building it. When I do the one-on-one sessions, they're always tailored to that specific person. And then otherwise, when I present in front of a large group, it's more so a general session about building a brand, building a profile, and then getting leads from that profile.
Did you always want to do that business, Rebecca, or did you kind of just stumble upon it? Like we're entrepreneurs at heart, right? You were going to be teaching math to young kids, right? And now you're running a successful real estate business, and you're teaching around the country. You obviously are working on mastery of this, right? Which is phenomenal, and kudos to you. But did you stumble upon this, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to go for this and I'm going to start another business?
Honestly, I had no intention. I always hated public speaking. I took a public speaking course in college because it was a core class. I don't even know how I passed it, to be honest, because I just was terrified of getting in front of a group of people. And then as I was building my profile and kind of making connections, somebody reached out to me at the end of 2018 and said, hey, we're doing a technology-based seminar here in New York. Do you want to speak about Instagram? And I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. And they were paying me for it and paying for my travel and everything. So, pressure was really on. But I felt it was such a great opportunity. I couldn't pass it up. And, even though I was terrified to speak, I know Instagram, I'm good at it. I love it. So I traveled to New York. I did 2 different sessions. They invited me back for the next year. And then when I shared that on social, more people saw that and kind of started reaching out to me, asking me for other speaking opportunities. And there were so many that were coming in. I was like, I feel like I just need to launch a business for this specifically. So that's kind of what I did. The consulting part of it came a little bit later because then people from those sessions were asking for a one-on-one session with me, or maybe people that missed the sessions. And there were so many of them that, as much as I love helping people, it was taking time away from my, number one business, which is selling real estate. And so it was beneficial for me to make it a separate business, charge a little bit for it, have a contract for it. And so I do a mix of that. And then I also do a lot of speaking for NAR too, for YPN stuff too. So that's been fun.
I saw that. I saw the combination of all the people in your life. So I was kind of like, yeah, she's out there speaking to a lot of people. So how do you balance the two? Meaning, so you were, the way that what I read you saying to me is, hey, I'm passionate about it. I just kind of fell into it and just almost like forced into it, right? Of just like, but I like doing it. So how do you balance your real estate business, which you called your number one business, which awesome, with your speaking and your coaching and consulting?
Yeah, I mean, my plate is definitely full. I'll be honest. It's really, really busy. Honestly, I don't think I'd be able to do the speaking consulting if I didn't have my team. I really, really don't, because it allows me to travel or right now, obviously it's virtual, but I've been doing a lot of these virtually. And it does take time away from my business. And so with my team, I can, pass things along to them while I'm gone. They're very, very understanding of it. They love it. So that for me has really allowed me to step out. I truly don't feel like I'd be able to do both if I didn't have my team. And the great thing is now, if I am traveling for a night or two, I bring my computer, I can still write offers while I'm gone. I'm usually gone not more than 24 hours. Some of the best advice I got as far as traveling is from Tommy. And he was like, my goal is when I leave, or he said something like, my goal is not to have a ticket from the garage for more than 24 hours worth.
Yeah.
So, and that really resonated with me because sometimes it's hard, like when you get asked to go to Key West, Florida to speak, you want to hang out for 5 days, right?
Yeah,
You just don't have the time to
go to
do
Sloppy
that.
Joe's.
Yeah, right. Hang out by the water. Yeah. And so I really try to keep my trips 24 hours if I can. They're short. I can still work while I'm gone. It's busy, but I love it. And again, the team really allows me to do both.
Do you take a picture of your shoes at the airport too, or is that just him?
I don't, but I have come up with something. This kind of just happened by accident. I feel like it's my version of TC's shoes. Is I take a picture with my luggage and my purse and my coffee, and that's like my version of
There you go. There you go. So you are branding it. I love it.
Yeah.
So Meg, I'm going to get into the team structure really quickly, but I coach and talk to a lot of people as well, Rebecca, and I want to hear it from you. So you said you travel a lot, but your real estate business is number one. So you're telling me, if I'm reading you right, you're telling me that the service that you give, Rebecca doesn't need to be there showing the home if she's out of town, that she has actually somebody that does it and the clients are okay with it?
To be honest, I really try to do the showings myself. And then if they happen to want to see something while I'm traveling, then I'll have one of my agents do that. But I really try to do it to where, because I'm typically only gone, the longest trips I take are like for NAR. If I'm gone, maybe those are a couple days versus 1 to 2 days. I'm really not gone that long, but I try to be there for the showings. If anything, it's more so maybe doing electronic signatures versus meeting in person for to write a contract or something like that. But I really try to do as much of it as I can because I don't want to be that person that's like, well, you're my client, but I'm passing you along while I'm gone and then I'll be back and I'll see you later. Like, and it happens and the clients totally understand if I'm not there. They respect my other business and I love them for it. But I really try to schedule around where I am so I can be with the client as much as possible. And I've kind of worked a system to where, I plan these trips ahead of time enough to where I can plan everything else kind of around them.
Right.
So it works out that way.
Talk to us about your team structure. What's it look like?
Yeah. So I might change this, to be honest, once my team gets a little bit larger. For now, I have an agent, and then I have a second agent coming on next month, and then I have an admin. They can do basically anything they want. If they want to list houses, they can list. If they want to, work on the buy side, they can do both. I don't have designated listing agents and designated buyer's agents. I might, like I said, change that depending on the size of my team, how big it ends up getting. But I like it that way, especially because I found that a lot of our buyer seller clients, they want to work, a lot of our clients are buyer and seller. And so they want to work with the same person on both sides of the transaction. So I allow them to do that. On my team, they get credit for everything that they do as long as my name is somewhere on there. They, their name is also on the sign. Their name is also in the MLS. I feel like agents work so crazy hard in transaction that, I want them to be able to get, recognition for that. As long as their marketing has my team name everywhere on it, and that's not more so something I want. It's just a legal thing that, they have to have it on there. They have to have a broker thing. Right. As long as they have that, they can do whatever they want. I really encourage them to be on social to make sure that they're on there. Obviously I teach about it. So that's really something that's very, very important to me. But that's, I kind of play around with the structure. I never was really like formally trained on having a team. It's kind of been trial and error, to be honest. So I found things that work, and then I found things that don't work. I offer a team trip. If we hit a certain number, then I take my entire team on a trip at the end of the year. It's a fun little incentive that I have. So awesome. It's fun.
Key West, or where are you guys going?
Well, if we do it this year, the consensus was New York City.
NYC. All right. That'll be fun. That'll be good. So, do you have standards around like what their social media should look like? Like, do you coach your team members on what to do, and do they find it beneficial?
Yeah, I really don't have a standard on what their social should look like. I want it to work for them. Something that might work for one of them might not work for me. We don't all have to have the exact same structure. Courtney on my team just got on TikTok, and she's doing the TikTok deal. It's not my thing, but she rocks it, and she's getting a lot of engagement, people wanting to start conversations with her. So I encourage her to do that and share that. And that's something that works for her that, I just don't have the courage to be on TikTok. But it's awesome. And I encourage that. But as long as they're on there and they're constantly communicating with people and they're being consistent with their posting, I don't care what they do. Like I said, it has to have my team name on it. It has to have the brokerage name on it. But other than that, they can do what they want if it works for them, because, they're their own person. Even though they're on my team, something that might work for them might not work for me. So
yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. All right. So what's up? You've given us a ton of value. Thank you for today. You've been awesome. So leave us with some advice here. If I'm both somebody that's maybe been in Instagram or has never really got into it yet, or just it has a profile but isn't doing it, what advice is Rebecca going to give us?
I would say, especially right now, while we're still in this kind of weird time where everyone's at home, just get on there and just start, sharing things that you're up to. I think a lot of people have a tough time because either they're nervous to put time in when they don't know what kind of return they're going to get, or some agents, they maybe try it for a little bit, and if they don't see a return, they just quit completely. And it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, obviously you have to work on it. You have to be consistent. You have to be willing to share some of the things that you're up to. So I would say just get on there right now, especially while people are sitting at home. They're all scrolling their phone. They're all wanting to see what's going on. So now more than ever is such a great time to be on there and share about yourself. Like I'm goofy, I'm silly, I don't have a care in the world, and I love sharing that side of me, and people really, I feel like, connect more to me that way. So share, what you're up to. Like if your dog is snoring in the background, like just own it, share that stuff. you know, we're all kind of in the same boat. So the advice I would give is just get on there and don't give up if you don't see anything, you know, some kind of return right away, because it does take time. It's a trial and error type of thing. Play around with your content, play around with the times a day maybe that you're posting, or how much you're sharing.
Yeah, that is great. That's great advice, Rebecca. I can't thank you enough for your time today. You were awesome. We have gotten a ton of value out of you and appreciate your time. If anyone needs to, I mean, obviously I know what you're going to say, but give it to us, and you put the profile up there. If anyone has any questions and would like to reach out to you directly, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my profile is on there. It's RebeccaDonatelli.realtor. So that's my Instagram. My email is connected in there, but if you guys want to reach out to me, I'll put my email in here. It's just RebeccaDonatelli@mcdhomes.com. And then I'm also on Facebook. Like I said, just make sure you get the right Rebecca Donatelli on Facebook.
That's right. Yeah. I actually was looking you up and saw the other one. I was like, oh, that's not.
Oh, did you? We will get into that.
You almost got me as well, but awesome. And guys, if you guys have any referrals for Rebecca from Chicago to Cleveland, I know that, and you guys know now from knowing her, she will do a great job. So obviously send any referrals her way. So Rebecca, thank you very much. Guys, thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys joining these Lunch and Learns. Rebecca, I'll send you the video of this as well, so you can put it on your Instagram or whatever you want to do. Guys, we are off tomorrow. It is my son's 12th birthday, and he has asked that I spend the day with him tomorrow. So we will be back in on Monday. So I'm going to do that family first, right, Rebecca? So I'm going to do some family stuff, but we will be back in. We will be back in on this on Monday. Cheers, guys. Rebecca,
thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. Bye-bye.